Brilliant. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at this Q&A. We have two wonderful guests today to talk about their upcoming placement. We have Siobhan and Matt, who I'll get to introduce themselves shortly, and they're here to talk from 48.3, which is part of the Richter Group, to talk about their upcoming placement. And without further ado, I'll pass over to them. So, Siobhan.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tom. I'm Siobhan Jefferson. I'm the Group Resource Manager. So I head up all recruitment for the Richter Group, which includes 48.3. So I'm the person that, you'll deal with for any applications.
I'm Matt Hudson. I'm on a placement at Newcastle University at 48.3 Richter.
Great. Thank you. What's your placement title? Sorry, Matt?
It's an Undergraduate Design Engineer.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll learn more about what that entails shortly. But so just to start things off, Siobhan, can you just describe a little bit about what 48.3 and Richter Group as a whole, what they do?
Yeah, okay, so 48.3 is a consultancy specialising in the design and management of scaffold access systems. So scaffold and access design for all applications in infrastructure like rail and highways, industrial, commercial, residential, oil and gas, power generation and distribution. So quite a lot. So we deliver fully integrated design solutions that consider both the access system itself and other associated temporary works and the surrounding interface with the ground or permanent structure. So the company itself will be 12 years old this May and has 4 regional offices and currently employs 35 employees, but it's also part of the Richter Group. Richter is a civil and structural engineering design consultancy, primarily specialising in temporary works, which is a massive industry. And they have around about 10 regional offices, 2 international, and we have around across the whole group 200 employees. So we have some of the top leading industry experts in temporary works that works across our group, including 48.3, and we support younger engineers from apprentices, undergraduates, graduates through to obviously experienced, qualified, chartered engineers.
That's a lot of stuff to cover there, isn't there? That's great, thanks. So obviously it's quite big and it's all quite different, but what would you say the company culture itself is like, and maybe if there's things to get involved with outside of the work as well?
Yeah, so our culture is really important to us. It's our people that make our culture, really. So we're a very people-focused business, very values-focused. It's a business that recognises and rewards individuals and the teams for what they do. And we'd say, really, if you're somebody who wants to work hard and have aspirations to grow and develop, the business will support you, and will support you pretty quickly on how fast you want to achieve your goals. Is really down to you. We don't do set time periods as like other organisations. We will tailor your sort of development to you, and and that's why we're very much people focused, and we encourage our people as well to work by the values of our business on a daily basis. But maybe Matt can add something as our current industry placement of how he's found our culture.
Yeah, so the company culture is really good. There's a good amount of activities to get involved in outside of work, such as camping trips, company events, and in June we've got a bike ride that a lot of us are doing for charity, so I'm looking forward to that. And on my second day, I went down to the Huddersfield office at Richter, and there I received some training on AutoCAD and Revit along with some other new starters. And I was able to meet some experienced Richter employees based in that office, so it was a really good way to start the job.
That's brilliant. What was your camping trip?
A camping trip, so we do a yearly family camping trip. So it means family, obviously invite your partners and kids and everything like that, dogs as well. So we do a 2-day camping trip, so it's different places we do it, and it's all done by Richter. So you just turn up with your tent and all your food and drink and everything's done. So it's a great way to meet people across the business, and obviously all the directors and managing directors there are cooking you your food for you, so you've got them on tap doing that for you. They're over the campfire, so it's just a good way to sort of socialize and see people outside of work in a different environment, I suppose.
What a great idea. I've never heard of that before. It's a really nice idea.
Yeah, it's
Brilliant.
good. They enjoy it. Like, yeah, we had our year out students, our new apprentices that had only been with the business a couple of weeks, and they all fully got involved. So yeah, it's quite good.
Oh, lovely. It's a great way to meet your colleagues, isn't it? And get to know your colleagues outside of the workplace. Really nice. So you've touched upon it a little bit, but could you give me a little bit more information about what kind of support, training and sort of personal and professional development that's provided as part of this placement role?
Yeah, so after your initial induction into the business, which includes not only meeting your team, line manager, but also key people around the business, including the likes of the group learning and development manager, technical directors. We encourage you to speak with people around the business, so we're keen to share knowledge, and everybody has access to everybody across the business, including the MDs. So don't be afraid if you pop a little message on our internal channels asking for some advice or some support in certain areas, that you could get one of the MDs pop on and give you some sort of personal one-on-one for things. But we generally do a individually tailored training program for all our employees, including year out students, and we'll adapt that to your progress and your own development. So we will challenge you as much as you would like to be challenged. So we sort of believe in challenging and stretching individuals as much as that they want to accept. And you'll get to work on live external projects, and we have an approved ICE training scheme that because as we actively encourage all our engineers to be chartered, and you'll even start that as an undergraduate as well, which I'm sure Matt will talk about because he's doing that at the moment, and what you could potentially get at the end of a year doing our course.
That's great. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, so I've received a lot of training so far during my time here, and it just keeps coming, which is really good to see. So there's been training in AutoCAD and Revit, which are obviously extremely important aspects of the job, as well as training on completing design risk assessments, which is obviously we need to ensure the safety of everyone on site. And there's been a bit of design calculations, which are also extremely important in proving a scaffold is safe. And a really good aspect of working for 48.3 Richter is the professional qualification training we receive. So like as soon as I joined, I received I was given guidance and step-by-step help on how to achieve professional qualification. So that's includes EngTech, iEng, or chartership with the Institute of Civil Engineers. So you get mentoring through these qualifications to make it as smooth as possible. So it's been really good so far.
And aren't you, Matt? You're sort of hopefully gearing up to sit your iEng after the year with us. So,
yeah. So I've started ticking off the IC attributes for that. So hopefully I'll get it completed as soon as I can.
So yeah, you'll be returning to university, hopefully with an iEng already on his chartership journey. Yeah, great.
Did you know that you were going to be doing that, Matt, as part of this placement?
I didn't actually know. It's not one of the things that it's not really one of the things I think you think about when applying for a placement, but now that I've realized that it's one of the things that is possible, it's really something that is like a great benefit of being here.
Great, thank you. So just thinking about then the application process and the sort of decision-making process, Matt, for you, what was the application process like for this placement?
Yeah, it's really smooth. So I went on the careers website for Newcastle Uni and I applied, and then I got through to, I think it was the first video interview, and then I had another one, and then I went for a interview in person, and that was obviously went well, so I joined, and it's been really good since.
Yeah, so I think Matt had to, you applied with the CV covering letter. And then I had the video interview with Matt.
Yeah.
So we generally go through things like finding out a lot about you as a person, your sort of course, sort of what you're enjoying, why you've, sort of decided on a career in engineering. We talk about why you're interested in our business. Because again, it's very much about the sort of first stage interview is very much about the person, because like I referred to about our people culture, that's really important to us. We're only still 200 people across the group, 35 or so at 48.3. So culture is really important to us, that you have the right sort of attitude to sort of fit in with our business, which generally, somebody who wants to sort of get on, work really hard and, want to do really well and learn and develop. Because you don't come into our year out placements and just coast along, doing any shadowing or, just things like that. You get properly involved and you're doing live projects to give you some proper experience. And then the second stage is always with the line manager, and actually the engineering for Gateshead, it's the engineering manager, which is he's one of the number twos to the MD of 48.3, so Jack Bond. So you have this, it's more of a technical based interview with him, and he'll go over things like, sort of ask you questions around engineering first principles and things like that. So a bit more technical to see where you're at, so we can see what we're working with and what we need to sort of start applying. But basically the purpose of a year in industry with us is we will give you the practical application of your theory that you learn at university. So you do great theory, sort of work, but this is like real life situations now, and we will get you to work on those real life briefs.
Thank you. So just thinking again towards the people that you are looking to recruit, what are the key skills, knowledge and attributes that you're looking for in this role?
Yeah, so we look for a year in industry. We either look for a bachelor's or you're doing a maths or an MEng, basically in civil or structural engineering. Is generally what we look for. It's really, obviously, engineers you expect to be good at problem solving and having good analytical skills, because clearly there's a lot of calculations in what we do. Being able to pick up different software, as like Matt mentioned, we primarily use CAD and Revit, but we'll have some other things like probably SketchUp and stuff like that we use as well. But somebody who can like show and use your own initiative is really key, because like I said, things aren't really sort of, you're not going to find the answers all the time in textbooks, so you got to think a bit yourself. And ideally having some work experience will make your CV stand out even more. I mean, it's not a prerequisite at this stage, but obviously if you've done any sort of like a couple of weeks here or a week there, even when you were at school and you did some, sort of work experience, then that's great. But hopefully, I'm a big advocate of year in industries, because it does really make you stand out when you go off into the, looking for a graduate role. It makes you stand out above anybody else when you're actually looking for a role compared to people who've not done a year in industry.
Absolutely, and coming out of it with that sort of starting towards that qualification, that professional qualification as well, yeah, again helps them stand out even further. So another really valuable reason to apply for this placement.
Yeah, and I think it's something good to point out as well that with our year in industry, there is the potential to be offered a graduate role as well, nice, upon completion of your bachelor's or your MEng, basically. So we, there is always that potential.
That's great as well, because that means that then when you come to your final year, you don't have to sit and worry about applying all over for graduate jobs. You've got that in your back pocket, and you can just crack on with your final year exams and making sure that you get the grade that you're aiming for. Brilliant. Yeah. Great. So, Matt, what does a typical day look like for you in this role? Is there a typical day?
Yeah, I'd say most of the time there is. So a typical day would probably involve me starting on a new project to work on, or could be continuing with a previous project. So, but when I do have a new project, I'll be having a design meeting with a more experienced engineer. So in that we discuss what we want to achieve with the scaffold and all the details we need to know to get started. And then to get started on the work, I use all the training I've been given in AutoCAD or Revit, to create the design drawing or the design risk assessment to ensure the safety of everyone on site. And each day involves learning something new from your colleagues. So it's great to pick up more knowledge every day. And you're always you're learning from people who have been in the industry for a while. So it's a great experience. And it means you're going back to university with more knowledge than others, which is a good feeling.
And you're based in Gateshead, is that right, Matt?
What was that, sorry?
Are you based in Gateshead?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've not had to move away from all your friends and stuff as well, which I imagine is a good benefit of doing a placement here.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a good benefit of being here, so I can still see my friends, and I live pretty much next to them, so it's no different to how it was last year.
Great. Brilliant. Is there anything that you would add to like why a student should consider doing this placement, or do you think you've covered everything? I mean, I'm sold, but is there anything else that you think you would add as to why this particular placement?
I would just add probably one more thing. It's just like temporary works is not, you don't really think about it at university, but it's something that is necessary for things to get built or maintained. So it's just really good experience to have, and it's something that you might not have thought of. So it's always good to try something out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I'd say, that's a good point that Matt made, that, universities don't really talk about temporary works, but it's an industry, a massive industry, and it's a whole self. Yeah, because you cannot build a permanent structure without temporary works, and it's the same engineering principles as you're taught, first engineering principles. But it's also a complex industry. It's very challenging. We work a lot more at speed compared to permanent works engineers. And it is a great career move to make, because it's you're doing something exciting and different, mostly every day. So there's different projects that are being thrown up, and it challenges you. So it's something to think about. That I'm sure Matt, now after doing his year in industry with us, will probably think, I didn't even know about this like over a year ago, and now he's how much he's learned, and how much of what he's studied so far he's been able to practically apply.
Brilliant. Great. Well, I'm just going to wrap up with a very quick fire question to both of you. We'll have students listening here who are hopefully considering popping an application in for the placement role. What would be your top piece of advice in relation to the application process? Siobhan, if I start with you.
Okay, so obviously your CV, it's really important, I think, to put on there what grades you've been receiving each year. It's really good to see on the modules, what sort of percentages you've list them out, and put your percentages that you've been achieving, and also any work experience that you've had, like I mentioned earlier, any sort of like week or 2 weeks or whatever here and there. It's always good to put that on there. And then obviously part of the application process is to write a cover letter of no more than 250 words of why you would like to join 48.3, because it's really important you go away and have a look a bit more about our website and our LinkedIn profile, and see what work we do, and show that you've thought about it, and explains why we would interest you.
Brilliant. That research bit is so important for any application that you do, but particularly for this and the cover letter. So brilliant. And Matt, you've obviously been there, done it, and been successful. So what would be your top piece of advice in terms of the application process?
What I would kind of like echo what Siobhan said. I definitely did my research before I did my interview, so that gave me like a good little bit of experience on scaffolding before I joined. So that, I think that might have given me a bit of a boost. Also, definitely put work experience on your CV. I made sure to try and make that stand out on my CV, to show that I've been in the construction environment before. So I thought that definitely helped.
Brilliant. Well, I would just add to that, and this goes for any opportunity that you're applying for. The Careers Service here at the university is here to support you throughout all stages of the process. So if you are interested in applying for this role and you'd like someone to give you some advice about your CV or your cover letter, do make sure that you use the service. We've got a wealth of resources on our website, www.ncl.ac.uk/careers, and you can book an appointment with our CV advisors, careers consultants, you name it. You can make an appointment on mycareer.ncl.ac.uk. This advert will be going live, if it isn't already, Siobhan, on our My Career site, and that's where you'll be able to find this.
Yeah, it's already live.
Yeah, already live. Perfect. Great. So thank you both so much. That was really informative, and hopefully we'll get lots of really good applications from Newcastle students. Thank you both for your time.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.